So the topic of religious discrimination, I'm just going to briefly address, God willing, inshallah, as we Muslims say. I'm going to briefly cover the issue of religious discrimination as it relates to the Muslim community. This is not the only issue that affects our community. It's not the only issue that we care about by a mile, but it is something that is very important to all of you and to us. And so we're going to highlight how this issue interplays with the Muslim community. So first, let me note that CAIR is our nation's largest Muslim civil rights organization. We were founded way back in 1994, before anyone had even heard the word Islamophobia, and before so many of the tragic events that have happened over the past 20 years had occurred. We quickly expanded across the country. There are about 30 CAIR chapters around the country in different states and cities. Our main focus is countering anti-Muslim bigotry, and as part of that mission, we do other things. We engage in interfaith dialogue, the theory being that education is a very good vaccine against discrimination. We try to make sure we're empowering the youth, the next generation of American Muslims. We try to make sure that we are educating the media to make sure they are giving an accurate representation of what American Muslims and Islam are really all about. We obviously go to court when we have to defend Muslims who are targeted illegally in discrimination cases. And I think most importantly, we work with other faith groups and non-faith groups to advance causes of justice that are important to all of us. So religious discrimination is something that I want to start by saying is not unique to the Muslim community and did not start with the Muslim community. If you look back in American history, almost every religious minority has gone through some sort of period of intense state-sanctioned religious discrimination. Quakers went through it, Jews have gone through it, Catholics, Mormons. This has happened over and over again to different generations. It seems like almost every religious minority has to go through a sort of hazing process before they become a fully accepted member of American society. And so to the extent that is true, you know, it's now the Muslim community's turn. But Muslims have been in America for centuries. At least 1/3 of the African slaves who built this country were Muslim. The first mosque was built in the 1920s in America. During the Civil Rights Movement, men like Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X obviously became very famous Muslims. And then Islam spread around the country. Many converts to Islam, immigrants who came here from Muslim countries. And so we have a very large Muslim population that has found success in this country, but also experienced discrimination. What are the main forms of discrimination that Muslims experience in America? Number one, most often, workplace discrimination. Bar none, this is the most common type of case that we deal with at CAIR. That could be everything from a Muslim woman being denied a job because she wears a hijab. Could be a Muslim man being told he has to shave his beard or be fired. It could be a Muslim who wants to take off their lunch break to attend the Friday prayer service, which I'm going to do soon, God willing, being told they can't do that. Any type of workplace discrimination, that is the most common thing that we deal with as a civil rights organization. Everyone in America, most people, you got to work one way or another, including Muslim Americans. And obviously, if you're in the workplace, you're going to be around people who may have bigoted views about Islam or Muslims, maybe don't know any Muslims, and that could manifest itself in discrimination in the workplace. Thankfully, the law is on our side. Discrimination laws in America are very, very clear, and so we usually win these cases when we have to take them on. There are some unique new cases that have come about that address new issues that courts have not considered. You know, those sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, but generally speaking, the law prevails and people are able to practice their religion freely in the workplace. Another common type of religious discrimination, zoning discrimination. This is when a Muslim community might want to build a house of worship, a mosque, and the local government will prevent it from doing so because they don't want a mosque in their community. That has happened over and over again, especially during the early 2000s. It is not as common now because we've won some big victories in those cases, but that is also a pretty common issue that we have confronted. Another issue that we deal with is school bullying. You know, at school, kids will always bully other kids for something, right? But when you're being bullied about your religion, that's a huge problem and can really leave scars on a young person for the rest of their life. And it's especially dangerous for Muslims because what our studies show is that sometimes the teachers themselves either ignore the bullying or engage in it themselves. This is especially true when Muslims are in the news or when it's the 9/11 anniversary. Numerous incidents of teachers themselves engaging in anti-Muslim bigotry directed at Muslim kids. So that's a major issue that we have been confronting. Another issue is obviously government overreach. Everyone knows about the president's travel ban, the Muslim ban as we call it, but government overreach did not start with Donald Trump or with the Muslim ban. There were already immigration measures in our country designed to target Muslim immigrants even after they come here and built a good life for themselves. There are also issues that Muslims face while traveling, religious profiling. You've heard of driving while black. I deal with that. There's flying while Muslim. Muslims who get on planes who are targeted for extra security screening. Some Muslims who are banned from flying at all because their name might match up with some name on the terrorist watch list. We've literally had infant children who could not get on planes because their name, for example, Muhammad Ali, matched up with a name that was apparently a problem on the government's far too large terrorist watch list. So that's another issue we're dealing with. Another major issue, finally, is prisoner rights. It is common that you'll find Muslims in the prison system who are converts to Islam, people who go into prison and they try to build a better life for themselves and they embrace Islam. That happens, but you'll often find that they experience discrimination, attempts to make them give up their religion, attempts to punish them. That's an issue that we face very often that we combat in the prison system. And then finally, obviously, I want to note that a major issue that we continue to deal with is hate crimes. That is Muslims being targeted for violence because of the way they dress, because of the way they practice, mosques being burned down, Muslim women having their hijabs ripped off. And it doesn't only impact Muslims. After 9/11, the first person killed in a hate crime was a Sikh person who was mistaken as a Muslim. And so that sort of idiocy, that bigotry, does not only impact the Muslim community, it impacts many people. So those are some of the main ways that religious discrimination impacts the Muslim community. That is why we have organizations like CAIR. And I'm also very appreciative that we've gotten support from the Christian, Jewish, secular communities and other faith communities to make sure we're defending religious diversity and religious rights for American Muslims and people of all faiths and backgrounds. And I look forward to hearing more about the great work that you all are doing as well. Hope I stayed within time. And I will close by saying, Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum, may God's peace be upon you. Oh, and I believe the phrase we're going for is human rights is worth the fight.